The second video lecture is about the players on the playing field. And I suppose that usually you're thinking in stakeholders or shareholders, but there are many more players on that field. Think about business partners, finances, suppliers, pressure groups, interest groups, community as a whole, media. So they all influence what's going on in the organization. The other way around is, what is your relation with them? And are you able to understand, to know what are their needs and what are their aims? And so is it possible for you to play with the needs of people in the playing field, the players on the playing field? That's the most important question here. And just let me give you an example about players on the playing field. To show you that the perspective is much broader than when we only talk about stakeholders. We have the issue about obesitas with children. And many children become too fat. And when they become too fat, they will develop illness. And probably when it is really obesitas, they will have diabetes on the age of 20. And when they have this diabetes on the age of 20, just imagine what it means for healthcare in society, because they will struggle with that health issue the rest of their lives. So it is a real issue here. And now public healthcare in my own town, Amsterdam, was just observing that more people, more children became too fat and developed obesitas. And then they decided to start a program. And the program was just starting in one neighborhood, just one neighborhood. And the idea was, let's collaborate together, because then only we can make the difference. So they started with schools, and then also not only the schools, because of course that's about movement and how people can travel to school. Can they do it on a bicycle or walking? And so that they have the movements, but also the providers of the vending machines. What is in the vending machine on this school? Is this unhealthy snacks, or is it just apples? Or is it energy drinks, or is it fruit juices? So you can make choices there. So they were working with schools, they were working with providers for the vending machines, they were working with sport clubs. Then they start working with the government, local government, for safe bicycle lanes, so that children could bicycle to the school and get more movements. Then they start to work with community groups in the neighborhood and learn them about healthy cooking. And so in the end, 300 people, 300 organizations were collaborating together in just one neighborhood. And this is what I mean when I talk about players on the field. There are much more players than usual suspects. And are we able to analyze all these players, their needs, and what they may contribute to what you aim for? Again, three change dilemmas considering players on the playing field. The first question is, are we able to consider, to know what is really going on the playing field and all these players on the field? Do we know them? Do we know the needs? Do we have the broad perspective? So, and if we know them, then immediately the second dilemma comes up. How do we relate to them? Is it possible to know them, to contact them, to create relationships, to come to a common ground? And of course, not everyone will support your idea. There will contrary forces as well. So how do you cope with that? And that's the other one. What are vital coalitions of the players on the playing field? And the third dilemma is, how many people in your organization do you want to involve by understanding and knowing the players on the playing field? Of course, when in your organization people don't have experience to contact the players on the playing field, when they have an internal focus and not an external focus, it's definitely more complicated to understand what is really going on out there. So is your organization and the people in your organization, are they able to assess, to understand the needs of people on the playing field? And are they able to connect to the players on the playing field to realize a common ground?